My goal wasn't to be in Hollywood making movies, hopefully with a little bit of longevity. That was never my goal. My goal was just to not be broke. In the spirit of just being completely open, I used to tell myself specifically, I cannot be fucking broke. I am gonna scratch and claw and kick and bite and fight my way to have more than $7. It was never, oh, I wanna make millions. It was, I need more than $7. So I think, in a way, the idea of being here, it's a convergence of being grateful where I'm at and being aware of my position in this business, but also, as we talked about earlier, keeping all that stuff in the forefront of my mind. And because to me, I'm a couple of days of being away from being broke. I've never arrived. So there's the gratitude, then there's grit, and then I think, well, what's the alternative? So, and the alternative is $7. The alternative is struggle. The alternative is not having options, not having a choice. So I think about that all the time, and it continues to drive me. And by the way, when I say that, I'll say that in our meetings, in the variety of the businesses. I'll say evictions around the corner. I think I'm pretty good at a lot of things. In terms of being the best at something, besides egotistically horizontal hula, I'm pretty good at what I love to do. And those things that I love to do, I'm passionate about. I like to say, whatever that thing is, I run towards it. If I get up in the morning and I think about it, and I go, yes, I'm gonna run towards that thing, there's a shot that I could be pretty good at it. But in terms of the best, I'm the best at this and the best of that. I just think that, everybody's good at football or this or wrestling and things like that. So I didn't have a lot of friends. I had boys. That's my boy, it's my boy. And sure, I'll be there for you, like I think you'll be there for me. But there was a real myopic focus, and not in any way drawing a comparison to Kobe. I love Kobe and what he stood for and his work ethic. And I love sometimes, as hard as Kobe worked, when he spoke in this way that I always felt was so simplified yet powerful, he would say something to the effect of, you're a little better today than you were yesterday. You wake up tomorrow, let's be better tomorrow than you were today. Don't think about this as a loss, you're gonna learn. That level of hunger was just always inspiring when it comes to Kobe, because there's a guy who's reached the top. But yet, I don't know if there's anyone who's reached that kind of hunger. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, for many years, I was running my style, running my game, and I was like this. But years later, like with Kevin and like some of my other guys who I've actually become friends with and become close with, you find that life is an endurance race. As we're younger, in our 20s, you're rolling hard, you think you got all the answers and everything is like this. And then you start to realize, well, life is an endurance race. It's an endurance test. And maybe we don't know everything we think we know.
Yeah.
And maybe you could be a little bit more open to the shit you don't know. So I started to apply that in my life. Like, hey, it's okay not to know everything. You don't have to be micromanaging everything and everybody. I'll step back and you bring in people who are much smarter than I am, much better at football. But then also you start to gravitate towards these people like a Kevin who he's been through the grind. He understands what it's like to fail, to learn. And he's also ambitious and hungry. And then you also start to realize that having friends is so vitally important as you just get a little older, because you lean on each other, you can open up. It's like, man, if you having a wobbly day, call me, I'm there. Like that kind of stuff. I felt like in college and in the 20s and when I was running in WWE, we were there for each other, but it's a different kind of love and security that you have as you get a little older, and invite certain people in your life, especially in your circle who share similar qualities, who've kind of been up and down like you as well. When I first got into the business, I always looked at Will Smith as the biggest star in the world. And he was producing, he was singing, he was integrating his music into his movies. So I always looked at Will at that time. It was like Will at that time was the biggest star in the world. Johnny Depp, George Clooney, guys like that. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I'd love to have Will's career. I remember having a meeting because we were at the same agency at that time. And I brought in everybody who I could, who wanted to, participate in this meeting. And again, I was not at Will's level at that time. I was just starting out. Scorpion King, Tooth Fairy, movies like that. Life worked out in the way that it was meant to work out. And biggest pivot in life for me, well, there's two. First would be when I got out of wrestling, I transitioned into Hollywood and I wanted to have a career that was hopefully had some longevity to it, but I wanted to be good. And I didn't want to be boxing into just action genre. I wanted to do everything. I was told at that time, in order for this to happen, here's the biggest stars in the world: Will Smith, George Clooney, Johnny Depp. You look nothing like them. You got to stop talking about wrestling. Stop calling yourself The Rock. You're too big. Go on a diet. Get out of the gym. I mean, all this shit that at that time, if you don't know any better and you're trying to stay focused on the North Star, you buy into it because you're trusting the people who are around you. And it's not an indictment on them. They were just giving me advice of what they thought the best thing to do is, if you want to be a leading man, you can't look like this. You can't talk, not The Rock. It's just not wrestling. You bought into it a little bit. I bought into it a little bit for a few years until finally I said, I can't do this anymore. I got to be me. I love wrestling. It's my life. Wrestling was my family's savior. I want to talk about it. And if I want to go back, I'm going to go back. I want to call myself The Rock. I'm going to call myself the motherfucking Rock. And I love the gym. I love training. It's my anchor. I love challenging myself. So I got to be me. Fired everybody. I hired a brand new team. Said, here's what I believe is the North Star, and here's how I believe it's going to get there. And if I fail, then I fail being myself. And so I realized throughout the years that really the most important thing, one of the most important things we could be in our lives is ourselves. And it's so easy to say, just be you, man, be you. But it's fucking hard, right? Because there's perception, there's reality. You want to look a certain way. You want to, show your teeth. So it was that. The most important thing now is not, I got to eat first. I got to get mine, because I got mine. The most important thing now is just to take care of people. That's been the biggest pivot. I think that's really been the most impactful thing in my life is now XFL, take care of people, create these opportunities. From this only child, to this idea of taking care of people, that's been the biggest pivot.